Hi everybody. So what you're about to see is a compilation of stories. I did my best to string them together in a way that makes sense, as well as superimpose some footage of ceremonies and just of the property for what Anarchapulco has lovingly used as a retreat center for the past, it's hard to quantify how many years. It's been in the community for many years. Some of you know it, some of you don't. It's where we have the VIP plus tickets, or have historically hosted them. It's where our retreats are hosted. And it's called Bambuddha Holistic Resort. It's owned by a wonderful woman named Christianity, who, when I first met her, scared the shit out of me. And not because she's a scary woman, but because she's intense. And I met her post-murder when everybody was kind of coddling me, and she was really the one person who didn't. I wanted to make this intro because, well, I built, the schedule for this event. This is my first one that I produced, and the whole thing was to showcase how to actually live free. Well, this is a showcase of somebody who has actually lived free. She has done her own thing. I'm not going to give really any of it away because she does a good job of telling her own story. But what I will say is the effect that Bambuddha has had on me. I have a lot of people every year who are like, how are you so okay after all the madness you've been through? And Bambuddha was really the start of it, I had help from people, which that's a different story, but I was going there for Temescal ceremonies and occasionally for yoga, and like I said, she kind of scared me. She's intense. But after a few years of that, and really kind of leaning into the things I've learned at Bambuddha, it's become pretty obvious to me that it's one of the most important places I have ever been and will ever be. So without any further ado, here's Christianity to tell her story, and I hope you enjoy this little project. It was kind of a project of love put together, her sending me content and me trying to put it all together in a way that made sense, kept the essence of what she was talking about, while still, somewhat staying on the topic of what is Bambuddha, where is it going, and how can you serve it while it serves you.
Hello, my name is Christianity. I am reaching out from Bambuddha Holistic Center, Retreat Center, from Acapulco, Guerrero, Mexico. And I have the pleasure of sitting here with you this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for this opportunity to share. First of all, how did Bambuddha come about? How did Bambuddha come about? That's a very good question. How does anything come about? It comes about out of an idea in the mind. And from an idea that we have in the mind, we create a goal. And that goal is something we go after, or we don't, because so many of our ideas maybe just stay in the mind. And as I heard not so long ago, we can stay in hopium land eternally, all our life, or we can really get off your ass mode and get hands on and do it. So that's what I did. And I probably managed to do this at a very young age. For many, Bambuddha is like a dream come true, a realization of something that we want to maybe reach or be able to do in our old age, as they say. Have a property on the beach and wow, hang out, and how great. I managed to do this at a very young age. So it's like a chapter that I have done, mission complete. In the olden days, I would say, Houston. Now I say mission complete. So yes, mission complete. Although, mission is, when is it really complete? As sentient beings, as human beings, we always want more. So what is that more? So I want to go back a little bit and just say, okay, so probably already started lifetimes ago. The need of belonging, the need of belonging to community, being part of, being of service to community, to other beings. We always want to heal ourselves. And how do we do it? By wanting to heal others. So, I mean, we've heard this speech on and off all over, and we're all doing it. like all planet Earth, we are children of the Earth, and we're all doing it, probably in some way or another. So the language I'm going to use is probably not something new or something you haven't heard of before. Nevertheless, how to manifest it? How did it manifest here? Years ago, and from my childhood, very, very, very sensitive child probably, and very connected to the elements, to the earth and to the water and the air and the fire, and creating a lot in my mind probably, and yes, a manifester, creating manifester from very, very small. Many, many life situations. I probably until 21-ish, I was like, wow, now I look back and it's like, what a great life, what a great childhood. So big thank you to mother and father, like as in what a great childhood. Nevertheless, then things started really accelerating and happening, and it was just one after the other, one after the other. So having come from a very spiritual, what we want to call it, background, mother very connected in all these subjects without going into any in-depth, because this is not about changing anybody or converting anybody to any form of thought, but it was very, very impregnated, and father very, very strong in holding spaces. And then having many, many losses in my young years, very close losses, that impregnated my whole approach to life. Learning how to fly at a very young age, because my grandmother was already the first woman pilot who flew across the Alps. So that was like a big one, and each grandparent and grandmother coming from a very different background and different country. So it's also very, very hard to say, well, where are you from? It's like everybody says, where are you from? Where are you from? Such a typical question. But we are where our heart is, right? Right now I'm from here. Soy costeña. Costeña means from the coast. So without putting us into like a little box, having been, and as children of the earth, bringing these teachings from different countries where I had the benefit of, or the opportunity of studying and working all around, 3 years in India, a year in Hong Kong, and a year in Italy, and a year in England, and 3 years in Switzerland, and like, okay, lots of time in Asia, lots of time. And there, deciding, as I was in one of the ashrams and sitting in deep observation, that the next step was to create a place where brothers and sisters can meet, a healing place, because so many people had already helped me on the way. It's like, so big thank you to so many brothers and sisters who also helped me along the way. And I said, okay, I want to create a place of creativity and consciousness and healing, health, without going too deep into any of these subjects right now. And this process taking me to come back to Mexico, where I still had my plane and still traveling by myself. I mean, first it was 5 years living in a camper. I basically lived in a camper with my plane on the back. First years with my ex-partner who descansa en paz, and other ones. So he taught me how to fly, and he gave me the whole consciousness of what that means, what the element air means, and bringing that down onto earth. And then coming back to Mexico, I carried on working, flying down into Guatemala and Honduras, and just by myself. So it was a bit of a crazy time there, doing all that by myself. And in a way looking for a space, because that's already something I wanted to do in those days, find a space where I could create this healing space. But then I came back to Mexico, and I connected with my partner now, who some of you know, Christian. And then again I said, well, I'm leaving. I am leaving. And his parents living still in those days near Mexico City. I said, well, this is as good as it gets right now. I mean, Acapulco is close enough to his parents. I'm from the other side of the ocean, as here we say, del otro lado del charco, the other side of the puddle, like the ocean is the puddle. So I said, well, all right, it's far away. This is as far away as it gets. I keep looking over here because I have the ocean right over here, and I'm always inspired at looking over at Jemaya and getting energy from the ocean, with whom I've been sitting for 25 years. I was born on the ocean. Basically, I was born in Ibiza on the island, beautiful island in the Mediterranean, where I also try getting back to every year. Nevertheless, here the Pacific Ocean is very special to me. So I chose this place because actually I had this whole airfield here. The beach was my airfield. So after having flown in Mexico up and down, everywhere doing jobs with Christian, aerial photography, aerial filming, aerial teaching and aerial shows and everything that had to do with filming and photography and shows and teaching, flying in a very specific small aircraft. Some of you know it as microlights, ultralights, but also small aircrafts. So these days were just incredible. They were so beautiful. So I had the opportunity of sharing with many people, and also with my brother-in-law. We flew with a monarch butterfly from Canada all the way down to Valle de Bravo, and I did the gray whale documentary, like all the way up in Baja California, flying with the Mayan world, all around the Yucatan, and several projects like that. Very beautiful projects. So it was in a way, it was a time of, okay, I need a place after all the losses I had to settle and find order in my mind. And I said, well, this is as good as it gets. There's the airfield on the beach. I wanted to have a hangar, so I wanted to have my hangar on the beach. I was also running away a little bit from some problematics in the whole flying industry. I said, I just want to have my hangar on the beach, around which I want to create the retreat center, a meeting place for brothers and sisters to heal in with the elements, because I was giving a lot of therapy also in those days around earth and water and air and fire. So we started off with earth, which is the healing earth, which some of you know, and the air was obviously flying with me, and the water was where lots of emotional work, and fire, temazcal, and apart from many other ones. So that was just like the basics. That was the skeleton of it. So we started creating, 10 rooms, and people had to eat. So Christian was saying, well, people eat. People need to eat. So that's how the whole kitchen area started. I said, oh yeah, because I could be on a fast all the time. So, okay. So that's how it all started. And it just started growing and growing. And I remember the first Christmas, New Year, we were here. We basically we had 2 rooms, but we had 70 people in the rooms, and also camping, and it just happened more and more. People were coming in. So there was so much need for love. So Bambuddha, the whole idea of Bambuddha is it's a space of no smoking, no ice box, no music box, because it's silence. So the idea is to reconnect with the silence of the sounds of nature, and the wind, and the ocean, and our voices. We are instruments, and our eyes, and to be able to look at one another. And especially now in these days where everybody's so stuck in their phones, it's the opportunity, and I see it more and more, it's the opportunity of reconnecting. So as time went on, we had this opportunity of receiving in all the elements different people from different paths of life, different walks of life. And through these numerous retreats, every weekend having retreats of different kinds, some that are organized totally through Bambuddha, and obviously opening the space for other retreats to happen here, because that's how magic happens, because we want to share, right? We want to share knowledge from all walks of life. So it's not only about, people say, well, why don't you only do your retreats? Well, no, that's not what it's about. It's about sharing your knowledge with me and my knowledge with you. So when somebody comes along, no, I'm not going to organize your retreat. They say, oh, I do this. Okay, well, that's really great. And I'm very proud of you, and thank you. But I can't organize a retreat for you. You come with your 20 people or 30, and then let's get going, and we'll create magic. That's for sure. So in the meantime, we're doing retreats and sharing knowledge. Then obviously ceremonies happened, and many, many, many ceremonies. So there's a very thick web of knowledge and transformation, and a lot of pain and suffering of many beings that have walked here, what have gone through here, that have left their hearts here, and have taken a lot of love and beauty and bliss from here, simply by being able to be. So being able to be. So there's actually not much that we can do or must do. It's just sit and be silent, and let's be with one another. not changing one another. Nobody has the true answer. It's sitting and being and breathing. There's not much we can do. We're children of the earth. Let's get on with it. Because from the moment we're born until we die, it's a lifespan. And we know sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. We don't know. And there's no good or bad in the sense of, yeah, shit happens. And it will carry on happening. And it's happening out there with or without us. So we might as well create a beautiful space. Yeah, it's made with total love. It's made with total love so that you can come and enjoy it. So yes, in the meantime, I've had many other situations that happened, like we've had a huge fire, half of Bambuddha burned down and my plane burned. After my plane burned, I was like, I was without my wings. I'm like, and now what? So after all that happening, I had to reinvent myself, and then these spiritual experiences started happening as in weddings. You know, people ask me to do all sorts of ceremonies. So now I do these ceremonies also, and they're very beautiful. People love them. And we can like fly and create magic in that way also. Then we've had the pandemic, as you all know, and all those have affected Bambuddha in a very, very strong way. But we are there, and thank you to all of you. We are still existing. We are still standing. We are still standing tall. So after that, what happened? Well, Otis, the hurricane, and then the next hurricane, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and it will still carry on happening. Just get on with it. It's just getting on with it. And it's human relations for all our relations. So in the meantime, what am I doing? I'm doing very, very deep work in the Temazcal ceremonies. I'm doing very deep work in private healing sessions on a private basis, in group basis when they want it, holding space for the retreats. Yes, doing a lot of massive work on a very subtle level that can reach all sentient beings in my meditations that cannot falter. It's a daily thing, every day, in the morning and in the evening and during the day. What I came up with was a couple of years ago that I realized that actually I had made the retreat center for myself. I was on my personal retreat. And I have come out of my personal retreat, let's say 5-6 years ago, probably around the time that we had the fire. That's when I suddenly realized that to have a death experience and release it takes about 12 years for it to totally come out of the system. To be in 25 years here already, well, you can imagine it took me a little bit longer, I think, to really be able to say thank you to all the guardians that I have that surround me, and for it being able to offer all that work through my yoga practice, through the meditation, through being with you, and to say, I am out of my retreat. So why does Bambuddha exist? It's like a merging of so many emotions and thoughts that come together, and ideas, and a lot of love also. As I was saying earlier on, it was like a piece of land that I saw from the air flying, and I said, wow, well, around in this area, because it's like between the ocean and the lagoon is just behind us. So it's between a lot of water, and originally I was looking for pieces of land like more near Valle de Bravo, a little bit north, but the lake doesn't move. It's for me, for myself, it's like the stagnant energy. So I need water that moves all the time, and so flying, I found the piece of land. First thing was get a whole load of coconut palm trees, and because there was no shade, so it was, you know, getting the hangar set up, the palm trees that started to grow. So they're all our babies. I mean, all these palm trees have just grown here with us, and they're giving coconuts all the time. And yeah, settling into myself for a while, to have a moment of peace, for a moment of coming into the earth, into the ground, into asking for permission to this earth to really live with it, to feel it, for my emotions to settle. Okay, so that was the beginning. All had to do with flying, all had to do with moving around spaces. So how do we do it? We need to be in a healthy body, right? So always taking care of that part. We need to have healthy emotions. So there was a lot of time just to work through all my emotions that were stuck in those days and still are probably, and healthy mind. So definitely thank you to all the teachers and masters that I have been able to sit with and who've come through here, and also on part of the past in other parts of the world that I've been able to sit and share with. Healthy mind, always directing the mind into a healthy direction every day. From the morning, asking for permission, thank you, big gratefulness, thank you, thank you, thank you, every day. All the way into the evening meditation, thank you, thank you, thank you. So in that way, it creates a little bit more, well, substance, like what's happening in the day, like in between the morning and the evening, because at night, in a way, it's like a death, right? We don't know if we're going to wake up the next day. So what content do we want to put into the day? And then the Great Spirit, always. I mean, spirit guardians, they're all around Bambuddha and all around my life. And I'm very, very, very thankful to all those spirit guardians that are around me and protect the space, my life, and your life when we connect. So that's a little extra I wanted to fit in here as to why this space. And another important thing is how the energy we put out. That's like so important. Also, it's like what we put out to the locals, to the local people here. So, as I said, I'm costeña, and I believe very much after flying so many years in different areas of, I've always lived with the locals and taken so many people up in the plane and just giving that. But yes, I've also lived with the people who earn, who make the money, so that they could pay me to be able to fly. So it's like always living in between like two worlds of like talking about the financial aspect, right? So yes, it's an energy. It's an energy. So we needed that part to get the place going, and people are like, well, why do you want to be so far away? The road was really bad. I mean, it was like nearly a dirt track. So now everything is, I mean, we have everything here in Diamante after the hurricanes a lot, not anymore, but basically in those days there was nothing. There was one Costco on this side of Acapulco. There was a Princess and the Costco basically. So slowly, other things started coming, and then my daughter was born, and taking her every day over to the other side, to Costa Sur, to Montessori in those days. So it was quite a drive, but it was just getting on with it, just calming my emotions, calming my mind. And then a lot of things happened here in Acapulco, and it was, everybody was running away, running around, and and here I am sitting tight. So I want to show you a little bit of what Bambuddha is made of, as in made of what's in the web of Bambuddha. So all these years ago when we started, obviously we wanted to make it totally out of the natural materials and natural, like bamboo and wood and the natural materials that are from the zone. And then slowly, also living so close to the ocean, you see what works more and what doesn't work so much, as in which plants thrive more and which plants don't thrive, and what grows and what doesn't grow. So as on a plant-based, let's say, vision, we have done the whole thing of planting. We have a piece of land just down the road where we were planting papaya and melon and pineapple and oranges and bananas and melons, cantaloupes and sandia, watermelon. And so we had the chickens and the horses and doing the whole thing. I rode for years my horse here on the beach, actually, and many years ago she fell on me and I broke my hip. That was another big story to be continued at another point, how I came out of that one, because that was a big one. I thought, I wasn't going to be able to walk anymore. Anyway, to be continued. And so having done all that and tried it all out with the earth here, this earth is um, is good for some fruits and veggies, but not so good for others. So it's another point to be continued. We have a piece of land down south where a joint project venture is happening as we speak, where the earth is red and beautiful and thriving and thick and rich with nutrients and minerals. And all the fruit trees are growing. So it's very, very different to the earth here. Here, yes, we have used a lot of bamboo for what Bambuddha is. Actually, Bambuddha, the name Bambuddha came actually from my native island where I was born in Ibiza. And some friends have a beautiful place and an Asian bistro. And it connected me to my home island. Nevertheless, here the whole idea of bamboo, because it's thriving with bamboo here behind us on the lagoon. So we are all hollow bamboos, like Osho would say in the olden days in the ashram in Pune. And we are all instruments. And through this instrument, the natural sound thrives. And so bamboo is made out of a lot of bamboo, as in one part of the word. And Buddha, as you all know, is not only the historical Buddha, or the Buddha that's on the altar, or whatever imaginary idea you may have, but really the idea of that Buddhahood, that idea of the natural state of our mind where we can all reside in, and that is the proposal. So the joint of Bambuddha. In those days, we also had many, many dogs. They're all our guardians, big Great Danes and German Shepherds. And the first two dogs was Bamboo and Buddha, who was a Great Dane and a German Shepherd. So they were always roaming around. And then all the sons and daughters of those dogs. Right now we have cats, many cats. It's a little bit easier since we like traveling also, and it's always so heartbreaking to leave the animals behind. So all this just as a little preamble, like as I come forward to the next step, to where are we going to, where are we headed to, where is Bambuddha headed to? That's a very good question. Thank you for that one. So this palapa is just in the entrance, and is probably the 14th palapa that we just finished yesterday fixing up, since all these prices have gone up so much, and it smells so good. It's just so that fresh palapa smell is so good. I wanted to share a little bit more of how it all came to be, because since I was very small and very inquisitive, and I would be in the woods with my dog, and you know, also very, very in contact with nature, and to the very sensitive side, the very, very, very introspective side, since very small, and with the animals and with the plants, and talking to the animals and talking to the invisible beings. I guess many kids do it, but it's like always having like the invisible friend around. And I'm an only child, so I've always looked for brothers and sisters around, even to the point of my mother used to say, why'd you call everybody your brother? You know, it's like, I said, I don't know, because he's my brother. You know, it's like from very small. And creating this place for our brothers and sisters. So on that very, very sensitive line, growing up on a beautiful island, and very, very much in tune with nature and with the artistic side. Ibiza is a very artistic, creative place, very spiritual. People are very in contact with that creative side. Like there's many writers and artists and therapists, and everybody's just working with their body, speech and mind, and with their hands, and it's so creative. I mean, I don't even know why I left. It's like it's an amazing place, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you were born in Ibiza. It's like a party island, and yes, it has that other side. It has a very, not to say dark side, but we know what we're talking about, right? So it has those two sides, and at an early age I understood those two sides, and those of us who were brought up there or born there have that very deep inside of that visualization of that light and dark, and always feeling attracted to those places and power places, very, very attracted to power places. So we moved away from there in my prep years. We moved to the Canary Islands, and then I practically studied in different places and countries for a while, for another couple of years. I studied in Switzerland and in Italy and in England, and then I did the whole thing of going to Hong Kong for a year. I wanted to study acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and I got into the university in Peking, and then on my way back I had a motorbike accident with a boyfriend in those times. So that was like an early rupture already, and my parents separating at that time. I used to be the only kid who had two parents, and it was like strange in those days to have two parents. All my friends were already, had separated parents or single moms, single dads, and so when that happened, that was like a big shock, I must say. It was like, what is my whole idealistic idea of what relating means and being, relationships, and so that broke just at the same time as that motorbike accident, and that's actually how I came to Mexico. And in Mexico, with the guy who I broke my leg with, it was literally all the way over like this. It was like, are you ever going to be able to walk again and do everything you do? And already there I had a mindset, and I said, okay, I'm going to be better than before. I'm going to get out of this. So somehow, I was restructuring my whole cell system already at that age. And since very small, I've always been with the idea of, in this lifetime, I will understand the light of being. We are all on that quest. We all want to either get there, or we want to understand it, or we want to see it, or we want to feel it, and going so deep into that quest, and on the way studying and being involved with different schoolings and different teachings and different paths, and it's just all so interesting. And I know our time here on planet Earth is, time-wise, probably not enough to get in, soak in all that information. It's just all so interesting. I love it, and all the different religions and thought patterns and psychological tendencies and philosophies. And so my mom was a philosopher and psychologist and Buddhist and yogi, and so I grew up with all that. And then what the mom does, sometimes you don't do it for a while, and then it's like, thank you for having that amazing teaching from small on. And then coming into Mexico with this sensation of, okay, I just need to be free and to break free from all these years of studies and wanting to be somebody, or it's a whole integration. So in India, actually, the 3 years I was in a deep training of Tibetan healing, which all has to do with planet Earth being all the countries. I talked about it once actually on stage, just for about 10 minutes or something. All the countries are the different organs, and we resonate with a different organ inside ourselves also, depending on our upbringing. But nowadays, obviously, we have all these different organs because we're not only born there, but maybe our parents are born in another country, or we are born in another country, and all that conditioning of that country is also in our system and in our genes. And then we go off and live in another country or with somebody else who has another organ that is resonating. So just to say, like, for example, here in Mexico, we are in stomach country. In the United States, it's lung country. Spain is the bladder country. Italy is the liver country. France is heart country, and so on. It's like, so, and each organ resonates in a certain vibration and has a color and a sound and an animal, and so it's all related. I just love it. It's such an amazing teaching. And so integrating all that, there's also all these steps. So there's the 7 steps. Like the first 7 years in our life, you know, the survival instinct, and then we're the conformity, you know, we're conforming in life to something in our, you know, early 7 to 14 years, and then in our teens to adulthood. It's the whole integration of the ego coming in. You know, I want to be somebody. I am this, I am that, and this is my guy, this is my girl. You know, it's like all this sort of stuff coming up. And then from 21 to 28, those 7 years, it's an approx. You know, it can always overlap a little bit. It goes into how integrating into life. So what you've learned, you know, you want to study, you want to be somebody, you want to maybe buy a car, a house. You know, it's all about integrating into society. I mean, obviously, many of us, or maybe not, we don't want to integrate at all, or we're like out of all that. But it's a natural cycle. It's in the biorhythms of the natural cycle. And then the fifth step is the self-denial. So something's starting to, like, you know, inside not feel so right. And then self-destruction. So planet Earth is actually in that sixth cycle of self-destruction already since some time. But so that whole cycle is like, we're starting to project outwards. You know, it's like, it's somebody else's fault. You know, instead of assuming responsibility, it's like always out there. And then we come into the transformation. So, and that's very beautiful when we get to that stage in life, and it can overlap again. And it happens in our relationships. So these 7 steps happen in relationships on a personal level, and it happens in work relationships. And it's like happening all the time. So if we really watch that cycle, for me it really works. I'm not saying it's the only teaching, but that's really helped me to understand what is going on in my life, where it's taking me, in what stage I am, how, why, and where I react in certain ways, and to be gentle with myself, to be gentle and creative. So definitely that helped me on my way of coming in, and then my 5 very, very strong years of learning how to fly. So at an early age, in my relating with boyfriends, and then so the first one died. That was a very, very big hit, and a very dear friend also left this plane, and so I was in touch with death at a very early age, very close death. And all I want to get into right now is some of the very big situations that happened that are all in the web of Bambuddha also, and why this place originally came into being. And so learning how to fly, and the 5 years flying in Mexico with my ex, who rests in peace, Marco, he taught me his whole life of flying. So it came so naturally. I learned very fast. I mean, usually we taught flying. I include myself because then I was teaching flying for many years, and we'd give the course in 10 hours, but I learned in an hour and a half. I mean, in those days I was still doing a lot of windsurfing and you know, all very extreme sports in those days. Now we have much more extreme sports, but I've always been that sort of extreme lover of activities, and somehow it was very easy. I just got on it, and he totally trusted me. Everybody's like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna let her fly on her own?" And so at an hour and a half of literally having gotten on the ultralights, the very light planes, he said, "Go, I trust you. You can do it." So I flew with him for years. We had 2 planes, one up on top and one in the back, and we were going all around Mexico and Central America, and it was just amazing because it was a life like Richard Bach, a little bit. So we had the camper, the best life in the sense of very light, very free. Just what fits into the camper was what we had, apart from 2 planes, and stopping on the beaches, you know, working a month here, a month there, aerial publicity and filming, and many different forms of sharing, many aerial shows in the later years. So basically carrying on with that flying and getting it so deep into my system, when Marco died, that second relationship was like, now what? I mean, my dad said, well, don't you think you should just have a very down-to-earth job and then just get on with it? I said, no, I can't. I need to really feel it totally inside my nervous system. I need to feel it to be able to let it go and let it just come out of my body and my nervous system. And that's when I went to India. We had already decided we were going to go together to India, but then he had the accident, and I'll go more into that if anybody is interested one day listening. I have no problem about talking about it all because it's some time back, but anyway, I've worked so much through all these losses, and I just see them as great opportunities, and thank you to these opportunities, and thank you to each and one of those dear friends and lovers and partners and brothers and sisters who have parted already, because they helped me on my way to get to where I am now. And had all that not happened in those days, I wouldn't be here today. It's so obvious. It's like now I can just look back and it's like, thank you to those stones, stepping stones, and stones that have been in my way, like big obstacles, and going over them. So in India, I was doing all the Tibetan healing, what I was already telling you about, and in different ashrams, many different ashrams and teachers on the way also. And coming back, I said, I need to see what's going on in Mexico. I still had the camper, I had the plane. I said, all right. So I just carried on doing it all by myself. So all the time I was, together with somebody doing it. And suddenly I was faced by, okay, do it by yourself. So there I was on the big camper, I had my motorbike on the back and the plane, and wow. I mean, there was some times where I was like, really? I mean, are you really exposing yourself to these situations? And I hear actually nowadays there's some girls out there who are driving on their own all the way to Asia on their motorbike. I'm like, wow, you got it, go for it. It reminds me of those days when I was doing it on my own. And then I met Christian, and I said, well, but I'm not staying in Mexico. I want to leave. I'm ready to leave. And I said, okay, well, the furthest or closest to Mexico City, which I already told you about, was, well, Acapulco, where I had already loved flying for many years. And I said, okay, let's set the place up here. And time to rest my mind, for a while. In those days, obviously, I had the plane until 5 years ago. It's not so long ago, still had it. And with my plane, set up the whole place. So there's some pictures coming on the plane because I think it's such an important part of my life, and I can't just pretend it's not there anymore. So I miss it. I miss it so much. And I mean, all of you would be going up with me on the plane had I still had it now, because that's what Bambuddha was about. You come to Bambuddha and you fly with Krishanti. You go up with Vistara. So it was still flying with many jobs from Bambuddha as we got it started up. We still had jobs going out and coming back, out and coming back. Well, Ananda was born. I flew, 2 days before giving birth. I was still flying. I was water skiing, and I mean, I drive huge motorbikes, and I would drive Ananda to school on the motorbike, and like, hair flying around, and oh yeah, there's that. Here in the Mexican culture, it's like, that was so weird in those days also. And I was literally doing like 30 flights a day. And Ananda would come out very small, and she said, Mommy, flying. So I'd have to take Ananda for a flight first, before I could take anybody else. And I said, okay. So I would take Ananda for a flight, come back, do everybody else. And all that is in the rush. So when we had the fire, what actually hurt most, I mean, there was so much love, there was so much community. I thought there was no community in Acapulco in those days. It was so difficult. It was a difficult ride to get the whole idea set of what Bambuddha means, of where we're headed to in this direction. So in those days it was was really not easy to transmit the idea which is in the web. This is a pool, Bambuddha pool. It's pure well water, and it's so lovely on the skin, and it's very deep. I made it on purpose so deep. It's like some people say, why is it so deep? You can't swim. I said, well, that's the idea, that you learn how to swim. It's pure well water. So in those days, yeah, so we did the whole story. You know, it's like, wow, living on the beach and how the, you know, riding big motorbikes and the plane and running every morning and then doing the yoga and still, you know, doing all these activities and riding the big bike to take my daughter to school and you know, learning at the same time and people coming in and the retreats and therapies, and there was so much going on, Then I had a horse, because I used to also do show jumping when I was younger. I was actually on the Spanish team in those days, winning a lot of prizes in huge show jumping. And then I was like, wow, you know, I wanna have a horse on the beach for Ananda. So did the whole horse thing. When I got the horse, she literally saw the ocean and she freaked out and she reared up and she fell backwards onto me and I broke my hip. So that was the next one, where I had a near-death experience. I had just gone through an amazing course with another incredible teacher who teaches us the Powa, which is the conscious dying, which I recommend everybody to do at least once in their life, if not every year or every couple of years, just to do it. And I had just done it a month before, and when she fell onto me, I went out of my body and I could see it all so clearly. I was so amazed. All these other beings were approaching me and they're like, okay, well, what are you doing here? I said, well, this is what dying is about, because I connected immediately to that state where Lama Ole took me to in those days, and I said, okay, well, no fear. There was no fear, and somehow it was, okay, but you need to go back. I couldn't remember in that moment exactly the way to come back. Nevertheless, I could feel how I fell back into my body. I literally fell back in. I could feel people touching my hands and my feet, saying, can you feel your feet? I knew I could feel my feet, and with that I knew I would walk again. Nevertheless, I didn't know how or how long that would take, and I just opened my eyes and I saw my daughter Ananda. She was 5 then, looking at me, and I said, I knew I came back because of her, and I need to guide her through whatever is to come now. And the pain was excruciating, and it was just crazy, because they said, and it was some of you know the Bonfil, so it was in Bonfil on Sunday afternoon at 4 in the afternoon. The place was full of people, the horses were going wild all over the place, the horse had just fallen on me and she was running off, rearing around. What a situation. And me lying in the sand, you know, broken hip, people around me pulling my legs, and they took me to the hospital and they said, okay, you've only got a fissure. So the ambulance, you know, I slept there one night, excruciating pain. They brought me home, so it was not operable. You know, they couldn't operate me, they couldn't put a plaster on me. It was just rest. So I was lying for 2 weeks like this. I didn't want to move, and then they got me on the ambulance again, took me again over to have me checked, and the best traumatologist, thank you for coming into my life, and the friends who took me there. He said, well, no, the good news is you can sit up, but you don't have a fissure. You have 5, how do you call it, 5 breaks. You know, in 5 places your hip is broken. So you need to stay another 2 months lying down or sitting. You can already sit up in bed, but you can't walk. So, okay. So I was doing satsang from bed. People would come all the time, and I was just directing Bambuddha from up in my bed. That was like there's always good news, you know, good karma, bad karma, who knows, right? So it was like, well, thank you. I can be at home. I don't have to be far away from my family. I can be close. And the show goes on. The orchestra goes on. And yeah, so I came out of that one. Christian made me a little walking sort of thing out of wood. And when I literally learned how to walk again, you know, one step at a time. I just wanted to get my feet down to the ocean. So I walked out learning how to walk like an old lady. And I said, okay, I need to be better again. Same as with the motorbike accident. I'm going to be better again. I'm going to be better again. And the yoga is the medicine. That's why it's so in the web, and that's why I insist so much on a good, healthy yoga practice as far as it goes, whatever our body allows us to do. We all come from different walks of life. We all have different situations happening. Find a practice that is good for you. Find a teacher, a guide that is good for you, where you feel good with, so that on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual plane, she can guide you through to your capabilities. Every body, as in body, is different. We are made up in a different way, and not the same medicine will work for everybody. But a little bit of movement every day, a little bit of breath every day, a little bit of connecting, a little bit of love every day, connecting to Great Spirit every day is definitely the way to go. And that is what helped me through, that pushed me through, all the way through all these situations. At the very, very beginning, I was running every day on the beach. I was obviously getting deeper into my yoga practice every day, vocalizing, studying. I was, you know, preparing myself on thanatology, Buddhist thanatology, the Buddhist path, the yogic path, a homeopathic path, transpersonal psychology path, the shamanistic path, with all dear, wonderful teachers. All that in a way to bring it also into the space. And again, the yoga seemed to just happen. Even Christian said, so are you only going to be practicing yoga now? Like, somehow the yoga saved me also in those days after the plane burned, especially. Obviously I've been practicing before that, but I understood now that the yoga was preparing me, the yoga and the meditation and that whole path was preparing me for the next steps, right? After the pre and after the fire, and those big let goes, and how I understand that I work very well in high tension situations. So high tension situations means not that I want to have some more, I tell you. Thank you very much. But obviously those very, very high tension situations. In the meantime, there was, let me go back a little bit. Christian had cancer, and so that was like, some friends were saying, oh yeah, you're gonna have another one, bite the dust, you know. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And so that was a big, huge, major setup and redirecting when all that was going on. Great adaptation, great change in his life also, what we managed there. And taking a grip of, okay, where are we headed to in our relationship, in Bambuddha relationship. And yeah, many people ask us, how do you do it? I mean, you've been together 25 years and you're still doing it. I said, yes, still doing it, because it's a thing of attitudes. It's attitudes. It's looking in and just doing it. So sometimes I'm asked, so what do you actually do? I mean, I'm not going to go into all my secrets here in this in this speech or in this talk. Nevertheless, there is so much. It's like walking on the beach is like my consultorio. I don't know the word in English. Um, instead of having somebody lying on a bed and speaking, we go out on the beach and we speak, right? So in front of the ocean and with the ocean waves. And so mainly coming in and being in deep therapy here with me, just being in the space. And then things happen, magic happens. Or as some of you have already been in here in deep, deep ceremony together with Bear and maybe other ceremonies that we've had here also. So here from the speech area, which is like our living room. This is a beautiful living room. I'm so grateful to this living room here underneath the coconut trees and the birds chirping. And so getting a little bit into the next question of the whole relationship with Anarchapulco and the whole movement, which started about 10 years ago here. I want to give a big, big thank you again to Macy. I always have her present. She's probably the first person who walked in here of the whole Anarchapulco group, and I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on, and we related so beautifully. There was an immediate sister daughter relationship, sort of from other lives, and I will always be grateful for those moments that we shared. And the whole movement was starting here. I didn't really know what was going on with the movement, and I was asked to be able to host ceremonies in Bambuddha, which we were already doing before that. So I said, yes, this needs to be very in line with the earth, with the elements here, with the spirits of the land, and taking care of certain parameters, which, as the spiritual guardian of this place, I take extreme care of. And doing it like that, I said, sure, let's do it. Let's start working. So there were a couple of years of extreme ups and downs and energetic things going on with the whole Anarchapulco movement, I must say. And until it somehow all settled. And now since 2-3 years, it's somehow become more of a family for me, much more than before. Before maybe I felt more of an outsider to it all, only hosting. And now, yes, I can be a host and a participant and a family member, and also belonging. That's what we all want, right? We want to belong. We want to belong to a movement, and I have a funny feeling about that one because I drift around in so many groups. I have this easy sense of belonging very fast, and at the same time, with nobody, I'm also a lonesome rider, as we all are, right? We're all lonesome riders. And as Ram Dass says so beautifully, we just walk one another home. So that is my message out to you. We are walking one another home. So curbing the egos and curbing of all these big things we want to do, and it's great. It is so great what everybody is doing, myself included. Nevertheless, we are walking one another home. So some of us are walking hand by hand, shoulder to shoulder. And in the Buddhist tradition, we like to say that we are all walking up the mountain somehow. And some walk faster and some walk slower. It doesn't matter. And everybody walks at their own pace, in their own way, their own form, their own expression. Some ask for help and others help others, and that's how we walk along. And up there we meet again, up on the top of the mountain. And yeah, we're looking down, we're looking back, we're looking forward all over our life, our paths, how they merge. And we look down at the same valley, that valley of eternal happiness. What does that mean? We know that it has nothing to do with anything outside of the best car, the best woman, the best this, the best that. Come on, it has nothing to do with all that. So we know that, and that is also in the web, in the Bambuddha web. The invitation to let go of that. So obviously, it needs time to get there, to have that sort of a vision, and to get out there, and let's get things going. So it's like, again, coming back to the goal and being part of the Anarchapulco community, let's say. We have created community. So I'm very, very happy to be part of the community. I'm very, very happy that we can create these new bonds, new friendships, and Bambuddha has become that place for many, of being able to really come down and be tense. And all these years here in Acapulco, it seems now a cycle has ended somehow, but Bambuddha will carry on receiving those of the community who really, really want to go deeper and receive the medicine, receive the Bambuddha medicine. So thank you to all. I can obviously carry on naming people in the Acapulco group, which obviously Jeff Berwick, thank you very much for always being present out there with this movement. Kat, who has taken on the great project of leading. Miranda, I can also say you are another daughter, sister. Rebecca, lovely sister, and so many more. I mean, I'm not going to go into naming everybody, but thank you to all of you for seeding also a part of your seed of love in this place and in my heart. So here from the Yogoshala, I was saying a typical day in Bambuddha for me is I get up pretty early rising, probably just in time to see the rising sun, so rising sun consciousness, a little bit of sun gazing there. A morning meditation, 20 minutes approx. And then with Christian, he's my life partner, and with whom all this would not have been possible. So I am so grateful, so thankful for having that union in this place. I mean, obviously, it's like, it seems to be like a one-man show, but it's not. It's like there's a whole team. There's a whole team behind that is very, very faithful to the mission. And Christian, my life partner, and my daughter, as I already mentioned, who was born here. I had a water birth. So that was really an amazing coming into life here in this space. And that reminds me, actually, I mentioned Macy some time back. Her baby was born here in Bambuddha, and I had the privilege and the blessing of receiving the baby here in Bambuddha also. So that was also time of, I was seriously thinking of converting Bambuddha into a birthing center. So the whole team, I'm going to mention each one of them as to what they're all doing, but each one has like a specific area, and at the same time they all know to do or fill in spaces when somebody's missing, because there's always something going on. Then we go out for a bicycle ride. That's like a daily thing. In the olden days, it seems like, wow, how long ago, I would go running every morning with my dogs. These big dogs, they would be going crazy, like just to have their morning run. And I would do that before taking Ananda to kindergarten and schooling and all that. Now we only have cats, so I don't do that. The dogs, there's about 15 grays out there. Oh, yeah, our guardians, spiritual guardians, also so many in this space. So we do the bicycle thing. It's we do it every day. It's just to get the energy moving, and it's like our hour where we're practically together, an hour time that we have together to, yeah, we talk about things of the day, or things that's going on, or things that worry us, or where we need to, adapt, or find compromises, even in our relating. It's all about relating, right? How do we relate? How do we relate to one another? How much space do we give one another? How much can we accept? How much can we compromise? How much? So many years back, I said that my life is around consciousness, whatever that means. It's like it's such a vague term. But it's definitely, I want to have a conscious relationship. I want to have a conscious way of relating, of communicating, of values, of and letting be. We're all individual beings, so if we don't let one another be, then it's like, yeah. So we go through all that in the morning, and then come back. I do another meditation, about half an hour, and then I come down. I do, I check out the whole space. I'm like, I have my eyes in the whole space as to, is there anything, any nicks and knacks, anything that's broken, anything that needs more special attention. And then the staff comes in and they need their attention. So everybody gets a warm welcome and a big hello, a big thank you for arriving into the space. The space welcomes them. So that's like really important to have that daily embrace in the morning. And then, if there's anything special they need to be doing, we go into all those details. And then I give the morning class, right? So that's daily. So if there's a 30 people class or a one person or a nobody, it's daily. That practice cannot falter. So it's definitely, we need to have on the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, that base, that discipline, that that embraces the whole space. And that is deep in the web of the space also. So very welcome to come into that practice every day. It's not just a physical practice to sweat it out. No, it is not. It is taking something on the way for your day. So that is really in the deep web. After class, well, before I'll have probably like some hot water with lemon, and that's about it. I eat very lightly, so I'm not a believer of eating all the time, or eating too much, or too little. It's just what my body needs. Nevertheless, we've gone through all the vegan and vegetarian and partial fasting and macrobiotic and alkaline acid versus and all that. So and now it's more, what do I really need and how does it feel? So around noon after yoga, I'll have my, like, a green juice or some smoothie, an acai, maybe something of the sorts, and that'll get me into the day. Then starting giving sessions or therapies or receiving people, or depending if it's during the week or weekends. Like the weekend retreats are usually Friday to Sunday or Thursday to Sunday or all week. So it means like preparing previously the previous week for the next, as to the menus, if there's any specific issues going on with anybody that we've had an evaluation going on. Is there still an integration of a previous retreat happening? Is there something on a private individual basis going on, and anybody needs special needs on an individual basis that has come, pulling on after the retreats? And so all that is going on simultaneously, as also with maintenance and with Christian checking out all the time, because here in front of the ocean is just always something is going on. It's like, it seems to be a little bit of a dream, to, wow, to live right by the ocean and have your property there. And yes, it is. It is. And I'm so thankful. I mean, I was born on an island, and it's like I have that urge, need always to be close to the big waters. Nevertheless, at the same time, it is a bit of a dream, in the sense of everything just is constantly damaging. So you learn to live. This is luxury. This is luxury. It is luxury. There was no intent of making a space like so many others of what could seem luxury. So it's a rustical place. Yeah, it's rustical in the sense of it's made, it's handmade, man-made, it's made by us. I mean, there was nothing here, not even a palm tree. There was nothing. So we made it all. Christian made most of it with his own hands. He's a photographer, and we used to do the aerial photography and filming. So he has that vision, and then he said, well, I better get on doing it with, the woodwork and everything, because everything was just so expensive. And now even more. I mean, after Otis, the wages have just gone way up. It's crazy, crazy. So yes, we got into, so I was painting everything, and in the meantime, we have more people helping and voluntary workers, and friends come in and sure, I'll help you paint and this and that. And so a lot of energy of help has come in all areas, or friends that have stayed on. So what I'm getting at with the long-term stay, I'll come to that in a moment. As the day goes on in the afternoon, then I'll have a light meal, something with a salad and some quinoa, and I eat lightly. Probably lots of nuts and dates and things like that. Those do me really good. And then we come into the evening. Usually there's something happening, as in when it's retreat wise. Obviously I participate or do or give my own retreats, or there's a temazcal, or there's an evening session, or if it's just during the week, have an early evening and be able to have time to study, to read. That is basics. Every day there's at least an hour time to keep on evolving in the mind somehow. And the evening meditation. So it's opening the meditation and closing meditation in a day to find the quality of what's happening during the day in life. That is sort of basic. So that's sort of an all-round day for me, without saying that the urge for moving is not there. So then when we do move and we go for travels, then the basics stay, the meditation stays, the practice stays, and maybe more time to sit together and eat together, because actually right now we don't eat together because we have different timings. So actually we hardly ever sit down and eat together. So when we go out, so during the day we hardly see each other. I mean, we work together, but we hardly see each other. So when we go and leave, then the Sunday is, hey, we're sitting in a restaurant, and that's really nice. It's a different way of bonding. So it's not like, doesn't become this monotonous every day, although it seems sometimes very tedious carrying on and holding space. And then when we leave, it's okay, great. So the spaces are growing a little bit larger, where I can feel I can trust the team and take a little bit more spaces also is necessary. I mean, it's many years of holding space. So getting back to how people have chipped in and helped. So I believe yesterday or the other day I was talking about the long-term stays and where is Bambuddha headed to. So yes, Bambuddha is headed to this long-term stays, like Bambuddha Holistic Co-Living Project. And it has happened all the time. We have had people in for longer stays. I have had many friends ask, can we please stay longer? And it hasn't happened so much because of the retreats. So a retreat wants to have the whole space for itself. But now I've had a couple of people staying in longer, and I've seen the results, and I've seen the positive effect in the nervous system of so many people already that have come for the longer stay. And I said, that's what it is. It's necessary to get to that step. So I invite you to come to the long-term Bambuddha Holistic Co-Living Stay, which is over a month, and really go deep into releasing and relaxing your nervous system. That's where we're at. We need to give ourselves that time. And what I said about friends chipping in, that is the opportunity also of giving service. There will be a little timetable up front where you can jot your name down, like for an hour a day or whatever you want, whatever space, as it's, helping in the garden or watering plants or giving the cats the food or whatever it is, to little, very simple little chords, but where you feel you are very welcome, you feel you are needed, because we all need one another. You feel you are supporting the space. You feel you are supporting yourself and the community and are part of the community. So it's very, very exciting and beautiful to see that harmony surging. This is probably one of the first spaces that I created after making the hangar. It was like the hangar and a space to live in up in the front. And then immediately I was like, oh my God, I need a space where we can contain and work with people and seed the seed of consciousness, creativity, healing, just all together. And yeah, I always visualized a very open space. I mean, after living in India for so many years and in the ashram, and in the ashram it was just so amazing because literally 10,000 people fit in there, and it was white marble flooring and just mosquito netting all around. And so in a way I was always, in contact with that idea. And so here, yes, it is a totally open space. The air is coming through. It is white marble. It is a palapa, and this palapa actually is brand new because after Otis it was like totally damaged. So it is new since less than a year. Less than a year where we're sitting under this beautiful palapa. And all the activities that have happened around and inside the heart. This is the heart of Bambuddha. So what activities do we do? So it begins from as you walk in. So for me, it's like so important. I probably had that already before, or learned it on the way, even here, to be totally in tune and in touch with every being that walks in here, and that's why it's so particular. So from when you walk in, I like to know what's going on. Where are we walking? What's our path? So usually people are like, or totally in, and like in a fishbowl, coming in, and we're all merging, and they're like, oh wow, thank you, it feels so good. Or it's like a little bit on edge, and okay, what's going on here? Feels weird. So many places feel weird. So anyways, you come in, it's a space with no smoking, no music boxes, no ice boxes. So I needed to put that clear. Not that we don't like to party. Of course, we love music and dance and song and connecting. There's so many ways. But now in these days, with all this electronics going on, we need spaces to decompress, I believe, anyway. Not what we need, or I need, or you need. I'm just tapping into a little belief of where humanity is right now, and I've been watching it all this time. So I think we're pretty much in tune with that, to create a space of peace, of quiet. So basically, as you come in and wander through the space, it's a very simple place. It's not like, well, architectonically so amazing. It's just come out of our, my mind and our minds as to what do we need now, here, this space, that space. Fun, colorful, more earthy colors. More as in, what do we need spaces to hold energy together. Then obviously our living room, which you already saw a part of out there, lots of beds on the beach, 10 rooms, which I'll be showing you also. So basically the coming in is, first of all, getting your space. Then what are we coming for? Some people don't even know what they're coming for. That's fine also. Maybe that will develop over time. Some people come specifically for certain activities. So on a personal basis, I have embraced the path of yoga very, very deeply. It makes me feel very good on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual plane. So it's definitely part of the big medicine system that is in the web of Bambuddha, yes. So I've taken it to heart to giving classes basically every day. It's one class. You know, people say, oh, so why aren't there more classes? Well, it's one class a day. Like it's enough. I mean, sure, we could be doing all day, but it's, you know, there's so many activities. So we want to be gentle on our body, on our emotions, on our mind, and on our spirit. So that's that part. But it's a very emotional, very, very in-depth, as some of you may know or have been to the classes. So to take some tools, to take some tools with you in your day, daily, day by day. What's the intention? What's the motivation? What brought you here in the first place? So yes, yoga. Massages, therapies. So massages, yes, as on body work. Very good, beautiful soul body work. To really get into your physical, yes, but also emotional, mental, spiritual, to get that going, really get that cleansed out. Other therapies, transpersonal psychology therapies, are with me personally, as in really going into depth on certain subjects that you want to work with, and that is taking a date with me, and we go out on our beautiful walk on the beach and we go in depth, and then we come back in here and carry on the work in depth also. And so then we have the ice bath. Some of you know what the ice bath is about. We have the temescal, so that's hot and cold. The ice bath, definitely in this heat, it's like, oh wow, anybody wants to go in, but it is in a ritualistic way. It's not just jumping in. And so yes, let's try and do at least the 3 minutes. If it's 3 times a week, would be ideal. If not, you know, if the opportunity arises, we have that ice bath here. The temescal definitely has been seeded more than 20 years ago. I'm so grateful to all my teachers that have guided me through the temescal experience and allowed me to be a guide on that path with that medicine. So I take it also very much to heart as to how to guide others through it. So thank you. Some of you have also been here with me. I usually do it at night because Father Sun is so strong, and it's just a lot of pitta energy, which is fire, a lot of fire. So you want to be more with the cooling energy in the afternoon, with the afternoon sun into the evening. At night, going in at night makes it much more in depth, maybe because it's dark and it's hot, and the healing volcanic stones. I have them preheated actually because there's a scarcity of wood already on our beaches here. In the olden days, I would make a fire literally every day because there was so much wood. But now there's not so much wood anymore. So it's like I'm also not part into, you know, cutting more trees. And I mean, that's on a personal basis. So I have this particular way of running this temescal, and I'm not going to tell you all the secrets about it either. I want you to come and try it out. But it's definitely a spectacular experience on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level. They're just words. So that's like the skeleton again of holding the space. Then we do circular dances, we do meditations of many different paths or walks of life. In particular, I'm very connected to the Buddhist path. Nevertheless, there are many forms and techniques of active meditation, passive meditation, vipassana meditation, shamatha meditation, obviously many of the Buddhist tradition that resonate with my heart, and I bring them in so that something that may resonate also with passers-by who come for shorter or longer stays. Then a very important aspect are the retreats. So Bambuddha considered as the retreat center. At the beginning, nobody even knew what a retreat center was, let alone a holistic center. It's like, what's a holistic center? What's a retreat center? So we're actually retreating from life, giving ourselves the opportunity to retreat from life. So yes, nowadays retreats are all over the place. Some really great ones. Some, I mean, how do you compare them? How do you say one is good or not? But I mean, there's just so much going on. It's also part of what you desire, what your heart's desire is. And so also that I intend them to be as in tune and in line with what can be. So I can be a little bit picky maybe as to which retreats we're going to offer here. Many I do myself, as in, you know, the whole process of coming in and sharing with me. And then there's also the opportunity for people to give retreats and use a space where either we only need breakfast, lunch, and dinner to hold the space and create a beautiful, magical few days, or in combination with some of the activities I do. Apart from that, you can come in on fastings, colonics, all sorts of fastings that include deparasitation, liver cleanses, and of course going into in-depth ceremonies with medicines. That all of those experiences are all, let's say, everything I've been sharing right now is all with a prior date. It's not just walk-ins. Walk-ins can be like for yoga, for a massage, for those sort of simple, more lighter activities. But if there's like an ongoing, deeper experience, then yes, we need to create space and a date, and we'll have an ongoing experience with whoever desires. Especially in the fastings, I recommend 3, 5, 7, or 10 days. And I will expand a little bit more on where we are going and where we're headed to with this whole experience or possibility, or possibility of experiences. So this is our shala here. It's so beautiful. There's so much space to create and dance and sing and release and do gibberish and really experience the whole gamma de posibilidades, like an abanico. It's like a fan, you know, one of those fans. It's a whole, I don't know what the word is, but the word of let's be creative together. Let's experiment. Let's see what else can come out of our very, very, very in-depth way of sharing one another. I had to come and sit here by the ocean because this is so special, this place. This is one of the main therapy areas, so to say, to be so close in contact with nature and with your own self. So hearing the chirping of the birds and the ocean and the wind and the palm trees. So as to round up a little bit everything that I've been saying, and I would like to include so much more, but it's just, I think time-wise we're running out. And this can go on and on. It's like a whole lifetime cannot be put into just an hour of sharing with you, and this opportunity has been so wonderful. There are obviously so many stories enlaced in Bambuddha, so many wonderful, extremely crazy stories of all these different personalities and characters and people from different walks who have come in here and have shared their love. That is a big one, a really big one. So I want to share that because I've just been like sharing little life situations, little big ones of my own life that is enlaced in Bambuddha. And the other day, I think the microphone went off when I was talking about father on the right side, mother on the left side. And that's a beautiful meditation called Tonglen in the Buddhist tradition. It's the giving and receiving. So only to do this meditation every day is very, very spectacular. And so you visualize your father on your right, your mother on your left, all sentient beings behind, all those who are still going through different difficulties in their life in the front, and love all around. I mean, the meditation is about a half-hour meditation, but I like to bring it in every day. Also, really directing my mind into this healthy direction and asking permission to all teachers and masters who have accompanied me on the way, including Green Tara, Amitabha, Chenresik, Vajrapani, and all my living teachers. I'm not going to include all the names here, but I will mention them probably on a dedication, on a written dedication. And especially also Sitigarba. I'm very connected to Sitigarba, who has the wish fulfilling jewel in his right hand and his staff in his left. And he will not desist his work until he has reached all beings in all profundities, and with his staff will reach all those hearts and put the wish fulfilling jewel into all those hearts. And I relate very, very much to his work, and I embrace that. I embrace that teaching. So where is Bambuddha headed to? The other day I was sitting in front of the Temescal, and also that video seemed to not have any sound. So sad about that. The idea of where we're headed to, obviously life is passing, and it seems to be passing very fast lately. And I don't want to die here. I've taken that decision that I'm already some time back, but I put so much love and dedication into it, and everybody has, and I'm so thankful for that. So for that, it's heading in a direction that all benefits are for all living beings. And please, please take advantage of that. Take advantage of the energy that's already seeded here, the love that has been seeded here, the experiences that have been seeded here, the extreme vulnerabilities that have been shared here, the extreme laughters and joys, the extreme, without going into all the details. But that is what I would really like to share with you, that where are we headed to long-term stays, where I've noticed it's so important to really be able to be tense in these days where everything is such an extreme high and low. So let alone in our own being, but everything that surrounds us. There's just so much information going on around, and how wonderful that we have all this information. Nevertheless, we're supercharged, super loaded. And Bambuddha gives you the opportunity to detense. So I invite you to come on longer stays of at least 1 month, at least 1 month. In those months, during the year, we will put different dates for having ceremony, very deep ceremony. And for those of you who already know, Gerhard and myself working together, we invite you to come to have these different sets during the year in your 1 month stay. Apart from those, the opportunity to do deep fasting, deep cleanses, deparasitation, liver cleanses, emotional, mental, spiritual cleanses in a context where you are totally protected, can be of service, can participate and be part of a community, a sense of belonging. And with this big, big, deep thank you, I want to dedicate the merit of everything that has happened in my life, of all the sharings I've had with you, of this place, of my daughter Ananda, of my partner Christian, of all my staff who faithfully, faithfully walk this path with us to the benefit and happiness of all beings. May all beings be happy. Thank you.